make a little makeshift brace. So some first aid kits come with popsicle sticks. Pencils also work. And what these are designed to do is you place one here, you place one here, and what you do is you then wrap that up. And what that prevents from happening is it prevents her wrist from moving in this direction, the original sprain direction, but gives her movement this way. So you want to wrap that nice and tight, but like again, not so tight that it cuts off blood circulation. And then you'll have a little pin like this. It's got teeth going in opposite directions. I don't know if you can all see that. And then you just place one on the elastic side, place it on there, and you have a makeshift splint. So she can't move her hand like this, but she can move it like that.
Any questions?
One of the things we're talking about is the valves underneath the bathroom kitchen sinks. Most people in a lifetime very seldom turn it. But when you have an emergency and you try to turn it, some things can be very hard to turn.
Right, yeah.
So now you gotta run to the garage to get a pair of pliers, and in the meantime it's just flooded the area. What you ought to do about every couple of years, go underneath there and operate. I had this occasion one time, especially a toilet valve. I mean, it just was almost impossible to turn. So every so often you should go out, go over there and just turn them off and then turn them back on. And then make sure they don't leak. Because that sometimes could happen. The seals dry up, and then you move it, and all of a sudden you got a leak.
So many people think that emergencies don't happen that often and that they don't have to worry. But like yesterday on the news, there was a pipeline that broke and flooded many homes. And it took a whole 6 minutes for first responders to get there. That's a lot of time. 6 minutes can be the difference between a small fire and a house fire, between life and death.
There was another problem. The people calling in the emergency didn't tell them where it was.
Right, that's another thing. That's why we have to be able to be prepared so that we're not panicking. Because if you're prepared, you know what to do. You call, you tell them where you are, and you get out. It's the people that don't know what to do, who panic, and don't pass on that vital information to tell the first responders where to go. So, if that does happen, it's always good to be prepared. You are your own first response. We shouldn't be relying on firefighters and things like that too heavily nowadays. With increased population and budget cuts, it's becoming even more important to be prepared at any time, basically anything. Yes?
Another good thing to have for emergencies is the tool by your gas valve outside your house. Hang it right there within 12 inches of that place. So you run out there and turn it off right now. Because that is a very tough valve to try to turn, you know, with your hand.
Some of the newer valves actually have a knob now. Some of the older
I haven't
ones.
seen one like that. I got that straight one like
The
that.
straight one?
And with the
Yeah.
valve.
Yes?
On the morphine, I'm allergic to morphine, I'm sure
Right.
others are, so that's
Right.
a real concern.
Right, so if you are allergic to morphine, don't take it, obviously. Advil or Tylenol
Right,
works.
but if someone's fainted or something,
Right.
if
they're
you don't
fainting.
know them, you don't want to.
Right. That's why it's important to develop the file of life card as well, which can help to explain certain allergies to medication and things like that. Always want to write that down somewhere, because if someone does have to help you who's a complete stranger, they know, okay, I don't want to give them this. Right, exactly. You don't want to give them that. You want to make sure you're able to treat them. So it's always good to have that information readily available to people that have to help.
How many people have personal identification?
I do, maybe.
Yes.
I took an earthquake class some time ago at this over here at Washington, and they said,
Excuse me, got a question.
They said that if, not to go under a table, but to get next to it, because the tables are collapsing.
Right.
So you said go under a table?
Well, if you're sitting down, it's preferable to just tuck your head under the table because your back is pretty strong, so it can survive the impacts. Your head and your neck are not. So just put your head under the table. So, for example, if I was sitting down under the table here, I would just put my head under that. Yes.
I think what she's referring to is if it's a triangle, if the roof collapses, that will. But if the table is nice and square, it can collapse the legs. But if you're next to it, that pointed thing will collect the roof. Is that right?
Yeah, that's like a relatively new thing that the firefighters are now teaching. The reason they want you to get right next to the table is because, like she said, if the roof collapses, you'll be, the table will be here, you'll be right here, and then it'll be like this. So you can still you still have a bit of room there. So if the firefighters are teaching you now, then yeah, getting like right next to it would also be a good idea. But it's important to hold onto the table as well so it doesn't move. Because if you're right next to it and it does start shifting away like in an earthquake you usually will, then it's very dangerous and yeah, it's very good to hold on.
Right, and it's also good to cover the back of your neck, so in case that does happen, if your neck is still protected, and you can block it with your hands if need be. Sometimes another thing that happens is people will be in bed or asleep when the earthquake happens, and they'll think to jump and roll under the bed. That is not always a good idea, because in the process of trying to get under the bed can move. So the best thing to do is really just put the pillow over the back of your head, because the pillow will help protect you. It's thick, it's puffy, so it acts like a giant bumper. Yes.
I was told that, especially where we live in earthquake centers, that you should at least have a pair of shoes next to where you're
Right,
sleeping.
have a shoe.
Because if you go outside and there's broken glass, you're gonna be in big trouble.
Right, so have shoes, indoor slippers, like if you wear slippers in the house, that works as well. Also, another thing to have near your bed is a flashlight. In case the power does go out and it's the middle of the night, you want to be able to see. The little flashlights you get at the hardware store, like $1. They're cheap, but they're really handy. They're bright, they've got a lot of distance on them. Oh, yeah. So some people don't know which way to turn their valves is a problem. Yeah, drain valves, even your main water valves, some people don't know. So an easy trick to remember is if you look at this valve, it's open right now. It's parallel to the pipe. So water can flow right through. You turn it 90 degrees, it's now perpendicular, water can't get through. So perpendicular is closed.
Water, for gas, for anything.
For any valve, any ball valve, it doesn't matter. And clockwise is closed and counterclockwise is open. So if you have a knob type of valve, you turn it clockwise until it completely stops turning, you know it's off. Okay. It's not enough water though. It's okay. It's alright, it's alright. Look at it. Another important thing about the main water valve that most people don't realize is that when you turn the main water valve off, there's still water in your house under pressure. Your pipes are still holding water. So if you want to go do some plumbing work, don't just start opening up pipes because water is going to shoot out at you. What you want to do is you want to go to a faucet, turn it on, let all the water drain out, let all it depressurize, and then start working. Because if you open it up when it's not completely depressurized, you're going to get inundated with water, a lot of water. Any other questions? Concerns? Yes?
If nothing else works, pray.
Yes?
I live in an apartment complex with 60 units.
6 units?
Yeah, I have no clue where anything is shut off, shut off.
Okay, in a lot of apartments these days, there's something called a utility room. It's usually downstairs on the first floor. Some apartments have it really right next to your apartment. So the best thing to do is talk to your building owner and your landlord and ask them, hey, where is the gas valve off? It could be that there's a common one for the entire apartment. There usually is one just for yours downstairs, but some of the newer ones have them actually inside your own apartment building. I don't know how old your complex is.
14 years. I do have a hot water heater.
14. It should be inside your room, but I would.
It's in a storage room right on my balcony.
Oh, yeah,
water
yeah.
moving, so I should turn, if there's an earthquake, turn
Turn that off, correct.
it the opposite of.
Make sure that it's perpendicular to the pipe, so it's
The
not
red,
in line
it's
with
the
the
red
pipe.
one, right?
Yeah, it's, the water one will be red, it'll either be a knob or like a handle as we showed in the picture.
So turn it the opposite of the color.
Correct. So if it's a knob, turn clockwise. If it's a red lever, just pull it so that it's perpendicular to the pipe. Yes.
It's a good idea, don't wait for the emergency.
Right.
Go do it.
Go do it yourself. I mean, it's right outside. They're usually easy to get to. The gas valve, if you have the old types, pain in the butt to close, but you can close it yourself. If you have a special tool, it usually hangs right there. Yeah, it's never a good idea to wait. It's just good if you know where these things are, shut them off. Especially if you have kids at home, because kids get into all kinds of trouble with things like outlets and faucets and pipes and all that stuff if they're exposed.
If you do find that you need to turn the gas off, PG&E said not to turn it back on.
Yeah, you don't turn the gas on yourself. PG&E will come and turn it on for you, and there's a scientific reason for that because of the pressure differences between your house and the actual gas line. So they have to do all that. So if you do turn it off, don't turn it on, call PG&E.
Is it like it, don't have to have the tool next to the gas well?
Yes, it's a good idea to hang it there, or
Because
another.
Some kids outside there playing, they might turn it.
Right. The thing to do is to actually kind of hide it from view if you can. For example, in my house at least, I have the gas valve like this, and the tool sits behind it. So you just pull it out, so it's not easily visible.
Inside.
Right. It's got a bunch of pipes on it, and so what it does is it kind of rests on two pipes, and there's a little bush over there, so no kids can get into it on first glance. I mean, if they really look, they'll find it, but usually.
So I've never heard before that PG&E could shut down neighborhoods.
Right. The new smart meter helps them monitor gas surges. So all of a sudden, if there's a giant spike in a line in your neighborhood, they know that there's a gas leak because no one uses that obscene amount of gas. So,
Okay, so we should turn off the gas only if we smell gas?
right, if you smell gas, first thing you want to do is open the window because you don't want it to ignite. So you open the window, then you shut the gas off. So always open the window first if you smell gas.
So how do we know if PG&E has
The
shut?
thing is, you don't. That's why it's always a good idea to shut it off yourself because you don't want to wait. I mean, electronics can fail. It's not uncommon that computer systems crash, things don't work. So it's always a good idea to just do it yourself. Don't wait. Oh, yes.
What online do you recommend we look at for all the things you shared today?
Yeah, it would be a good idea to look online. A
What
great.
site? What site?
You want to?
Yeah, if you guys want more information, we have our website, seniorpep.com, or actually seniorpep. So senior and then PEP, not PREP, but PEP. And also, we have brochures to hand out at the end of this, which outlines most all of the information that we went over today. And on our website, we'll be updating it usually daily. You know, we'll have the video of these presentations up there. We'll post helpful links. We'll have like we'll usually put new updates weekly, and then we'll have like pictures of first aid kits and everything that will help you guys. If you don't have the internet, we can give you a brochure.
If you don't have the internet, right. So the cold press is basically an ice pack. Anytime you want to ice a wound is when it's swollen. So there's internal bleeding, right? So it'll turn like that nasty purple color. If you've ever, broken a leg or an ankle or sprained an ankle. The icing effectively cools down and numbs the pain. It also prevents more blood from getting there because if the area is cold, your body doesn't want to pump blood in that location. So you know how on a cold day your hands get kind of numb, your tips get numb? It's that same idea because when it's cold, the body doesn't want to send blood there. So if you put the ice pack around the swollen area, it prevents more blood from getting there and further swelling.
I came a little late, so did you mention automobile driving when they're there?
Oh, if you're in an automobile and it's an earthquake, stay inside. Stop the car, kill the engine. Very important to kill the engine. Because if anything leaks in the engine during the earthquake, the car can explode. So if you are in the automobile, make sure you turn the engine off, put the car into neutral. If you're on a level surface, put the car into neutral. The reason you want to put the car in the neutral is you want to allow the car to move. Because if the car stays in one place, it's like a house then. So it can start swaying and things like that, things can rupture. So if you're on a level surface, put it in neutral. If you're on a hill, you gotta have to put it in park because you don't want to roll down the hill. So if you're on a level surface, it's like if you're on a highway or something, put it into neutral.
And if you're under an overpass, get out of the way.
Get out, get out. If you're under an overpass, drive past the overpass, park, and stay inside. Stay inside the car. And for outside during an earthquake, get away from any buildings. So get out of alleyways, get out of, like the little paths between or inside buildings, things like that. So just make sure you're away from anything that can fall and hit you. Yes.
Statistics now regarding historical potential of Bay Area.
Oh,
I mean, we had
over-
scares over
Right.
time, but-
Over the entire Bay Area.
Well, like Alameda County.
For Alameda County, it's currently right now 72%. And that's for a 5.6 and above. And for a 5.6 and below, it's around 99%. So it's really active now, which is the concern that a lot of firefighters and public safety officers have.
Are they telling the kids in school, because I know when I used to teach, we used to.
Right, yeah, we've been going over that, especially in earth science classes. Yeah.
Can I just mention one thing? Since we're talking about emergency preparedness, and many of you are here at the senior center, if you see this red phone, there's one here, and there's one in wing B. If you just pick this up, this calls the office immediately. So when we've had emergencies here, like somebody's fallen or there's been a problem, a red phone you don't have to dial it, you just pick it up. It automatically, the guy will call right now, it's ringing in the office. Kathy, this is Deborah, just letting you know that we're testing the emergency phone. Thank you. Okay, thanks.
Oh, we're ready for
That's how quick it is. Okay, so that's all you have to do. Many people don't know about that, but it's red because it's an emergency phone.
Is there one in the dining room?
There is not one in the dining room, unfortunately, but usually we're right there. So even if we hear screams or anything, we come running. I think it's worked fairly well that people say, oh, call 911. Whenever we hear that, you should be aware that the chefs, we've actually had a situation where there was a lady who was choking, and the chef came out and administered the Heimlich maneuver. So we are all first aid trained while you are here. And the response time is something, this is actually a local emergency shelter here at the center. So a lot of people come here to, if there's, say they've shut down the neighborhood,